Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight we have Tab Benoit and he's going to be playing through Shelter Me, and this is going to be coming from 2010. So let's get Tab up on screen and see how he gets on. I'm just going to jump in here before the solo just to mention how solid this is as a performance, and there's something in there for everybody. You can just listen to those drums, absolutely rock solid, great sound as well. We get to hear everything so clearly. That foot pedal, you can just put a metronome by it, but it's got that feel. It's not a mechanical foot pedal. He's absolutely got that feel and that groove in there. The bassist absolutely on it as well. So the rhythm section, that back line is absolutely solid. Then turning the attention to Tab and his playing, I always say that it doubles the difficulty when you're playing and singing at the same time, and this is no exception because Tab here is throwing in riffs rather than just strumming out chords. It's always going to take a little bit more effort, a little bit more concentration to throw in riffs and single notes when you're singing, and Tab just throws it in so well and always keeps that groove in there. And he's got a great voice for blues here, just absolutely controlled, and throwaway lines, those little throwaway lines he has at the end of phrases, absolutely solid with all the rhythm work here, and just an absolutely clean tone. The only thing he's got here is just a touch of reverb, if that, so it's pretty much straight into the amp, and that's why we get such a great sound. We can hear everything so cleanly, we can hear that bass and the drums and the guitar just working so well together. So up until this point we've got really great solid playing and a great groove by everybody here, which is now leading us into this solo section. And there we go. So breaking down that lead section, we've got a lot of downstrokes here. In terms of the flat picking going on, we've just got flat picking, which is just using a pick. There's no kind of hybrid picking going on here at all. It's just all classic blues lines in there, but a lot of downstrokes. We do have occasional upstrokes, but what you'll find is that when you're in a three-piece setup, exactly like Tab is, when you're playing a solo, and people that have played in three pieces will know this, you have to try and fill in the sound as much as possible. It's something that I mentioned a few videos ago with Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, trying to fill in the sound when you go off into a solo, and it's really difficult to do. And having these downstrokes means that even when Tab is playing a single string, he's striking all of the strings and keeping them all muted apart from the one that he wants. So those extra little percussive sounds on the other strings is going to fill in space while he's playing the solo. And it's really subtle details, but it's one of those things that as a player, you edit your playing in order for the environment that you're playing in and the size of the band you're playing in. And Tab, just being in this three-piece setup, absolutely puts in so many downstrokes just to fill in that sound, and he's great at muting these other strings as well. That's another problem that you might find when you start getting a little bit wild with the downstrokes with that right hand. If you're not good at muting those other strings, then you'll get other strings ringing out and it will turn into a bit of a mess, whereas Tab's absolutely got that under control. Another thing that jumps out is Tab's control of vibrato here, and you need control of your vibrato to play blues like this, and he's absolutely got that. It gives you the ability to emote and express through your guitar, and the way that he applies it, you can rewind it and watch the solo again, because he's never letting anything hang here. We haven't got any stale notes. He's always supplying that vibrato, getting his guitar to sing. With another technique we've got here, double stops where you play two strings at the same time. He also throws in some unison bends. So there's quite a lot of technique going on here. And once that solo section's over, straight back into the groove, back into the vocal, the band's absolutely on it, and then we're back into the rest of the performance. I mean, great second lead section as well, but just the whole groove of this track is absolutely insane. Listening to the drummer there, he's really taking some of the spotlight as well, and that's great when you've got a three-piece that is so important to try and keep the sound full. If you've got a great drummer and a great bassist backing you up, it makes such a difference, because Tab can go off into that solo section. So now all that rhythm guitar is dropped out just into lead guitar, but the foundation is absolutely solid, and if anything, you can then listen a little bit to those drums and it just complements what Tab's doing so well. But the way that Tab throws together his lead, what I love about this is there's no change in tone, there's no stomp box that he's pressing and then it's getting into a totally different tone. He's using his rhythm tone for his lead tone, so it's so stripped back, and we get to hear exactly how Tab wants the guitar to sound and exactly his playing ability on the fretboard. A lot of players I mention it all the time, rely on effects so that you don't really get to hear them on the fretboard. You can almost hear the wood of the fretboard here because that tone is so clean. It's great to hear a player that's playing consciously all the time, improvising his way through the solos. We don't have lots of really fast alternate picking runs here because everything Tab's doing is on the spot. He's thinking of it as he goes, and you can hear that when he's playing. You'll find that the blues players, they play so consciously that from night to night to night, they'll always have a different solo. It'll be slightly different depending on how they're feeling, and that's a great thing about the blues, is that players just get to emote their feelings through the guitar, and those feelings might change from night to night. So it's always great to see the same song a few times, because I guarantee you it'll always be different with the great players. Let's just check out the last minute of this track. And there we go. What a great performance, but also the journey throughout that whole track. What I'm quickly going to do is just play a section to have a comparison to the end, you know, from the beginning, because I always mention this about, even in really simple setups like here, there's really subtle things going on that make it interesting to listen to the whole time, even when there's so much great playing and such a tight band. But we're just going to have a little listen quickly. I'm just going to stop it there because then we go right back to the beginning. And there we go. You don't have to be an expert to be able to hear the difference in tempo towards that end of the track and where it's come from at the beginning. I always mention these subtle things that you'll start off so relaxed, so cool, great groove, and the groove actually stays throughout the whole track, but the track is gradually being increased in tempo by the drummer. This is another thing that you lose if you play to a click track. You'll very rarely see a blues band play to a click track because they chop and change the tempo depending on the mood. The drummer might increase it a little bit just to take it somewhere different, and then the guitarist might then bring down a riff like we have got in the beginning here, playing a little bit more slowly because it leaves them somewhere to go. And that's what the great bands, the great players always do. They always leave themselves somewhere to go on that journey. If you start at the end and you've got nowhere to go, if they started up tempo here, it would then start to sound stupid. If they keep pushing the tempo, you'll lose that expression, that feeling. So these really subtle things, again, it's one of those things that you might not notice if you watch it from the beginning to the end, because you're not conscious of this change in tempo, but it's in there. It's so well put together. But great drummer and bassist, let's not leave them out of the equation, because everything that Tab does here is on that solid foundation. Absolutely essential to have a great drummer and a bassist in a three-piece. In 2007, Tab was named as BB King's Entertainer of the Year from the Blues Music Awards. He's won a few more awards since then as well. And he's 51, so he's a lot older than he looks. So he's been around for a while and he's recorded loads of albums. He's got some live albums out there as well. I think it's around kind of 20 albums, maybe something like that. So if you get a chance, check out his albums, check out his website. Some great stripped back blues here by Tab and the band. Thanks for suggesting this video for me to take a look at in the first place. Keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!